Hey, everybody. It is very good to see you. We are live here on YouTube. It's very, very good. Let's wind this down. Thank you guys for joining me tonight. Let everybody start to get in. And we will get started tonight on the topic, which the topic tonight is, what is your view of price? And chances are, if you are, let me get that thing shut off. If you are, if you're struggling in your business, or if you're struggling with money, it may have to do with your view, your particular view of price. So we're going to get into this a little bit tonight and talk about something called price inelasticity. And you might be thinking, well, what the heck is that? And I'm going to get into all that here in just a little bit. But it was interesting that I was talking the other day with a couple of different people. In fact, I've been talking with a few people over the last few days, and they were in different coaching capacities. One of them was a gym owner who is wanting to get into actual coaching and do that sort of thing. One of them is just a coach and does not own a gym, but wants to do fitness and training and things like that. And there was another one who was wanting to get into different type of coaching. There's lots of coaches out there. And it's interesting that one of the first main questions that I get is they don't know how to price their product or service. So what many people do, which is extremely common, is that they get on and then they start searching around for what other people are doing and what they are, what they're charging, which I understand why they're doing that. And it's what I did. It's what a lot of people do. They're like, well, how much can I charge? How much can I get away with charging things, right? Like, how much can I charge? So they would ask me, if I was going to do this, what should I charge for something like this? What would you charge? What would you pay for something like that? And I hear this. There was a couple of guys who were just out of high school. And hey there, if you're joining, say hello. I'd love to know where you're from. So there's a couple of guys who they were just getting out of high school here in the States, and they were wanting to start a marketing company. And the marketing company, one of the things that they were wanting to do was the typical thing that a lot of marketing companies are doing, and they didn't know how to price. They didn't know what to charge so they could have a profitable business. They're like, well, if we do all this, we could probably charge a couple $100 a month, or $1,000 a month, or $5,000 a month, or whatever it was. And that's a very common viewpoint in terms of how people generally charge. And what you charge is going to directly impact what you make and what you keep. Now, pay attention. If you pay attention to nothing else, and I know some of you are joining, then just go ahead and say hello. But if you're starting an endeavor, or if you're thinking about, if you're having problems in profitability in your business right now, chances are you're probably not charging enough. More than likely, you're thinking, yeah, but my competitors are charging this other thing over here. I can't get away with charging more. I get it, but I want to make a quick point here, and I want to show you something here real quick. So hang in there. I know some of you may want to bounce here real fast. Some of you come in and say hello, and then you leave. That's fine. But I just want to stick around for just a minute, and I'll make it worth your while. So I'm going to show you a couple slides, right? So look at this. I just pulled these off the internet. So keep in mind, this is all off the internet. I took this over like the last 30 minutes. All right. So you're thinking, well, that's a sweater. Yep. Very good. You have identified a sweater. So let me get myself down to the bottom here. All right. So if you're looking here, this sweater, if you're looking at the price, that sweater is $16. Okay. So that's just a typical Old Navy sweater that, you pay $16 for. Nothing special, just a regular $16 sweater. But I want to make a point here about what different prices of sweaters are. Okay. So this is a typical cotton sweater that you buy from Old Navy. This one is from LL Bean. Okay. Little higher quality cable knit sweater. If you look at the price there, that's $279. That's a far cry from 16. All right. So we went from 16. We went over more than 12 times to $279. Right. So just keep in mind. So we went from 16 to 279. Now you go to website called Revella. Revella, if you look at that price, $375 for that sweater. We're talking sweaters here. We're talking a sweater. Okay. Now this one's from St. John. This price, it's kind of hard, so I went ahead and blew this up. $995 for that sweater. Hang in there. It gets better. This one is from Prada. Again, I'll go ahead and blow that up for you. $1,990 for wool and cashmere crew neck sweater. Keep in mind, we started at $16 for a wool and cashmere. Well, not a wool. It was not a wool sweater. It was a cotton sweater. But the point is, it's a sweater. Okay. Well, hang on. It gets better. This sweater, it cost $2,600. Is that 600? I can't hardly see it. The number is so small there, but $2,650. Is that $650? Yeah, $2,650 for that sweater. So my point here is that this is something related to price and elasticity. And when you're dealing with a client and when you're dealing with customers who are not where you have price and elasticity, whether the price goes up or down, it does not change demand at all. It does not change demand one bit with certain avatar on certain things. So in other words, how sensitive is your avatar on price? If they are highly sensitive, then you might not be working for an avatar that is worth working for, right? If you're trying to be everything to everybody, chances are you're not going to have a lot of price and elasticity. You're going to be very price elastic, meaning that as price goes up and down, they may not want it as much, right? If the price gets too high. So do you think that there's a segment of the population? Now, keep in mind the segment of the population that will buy a $2,650 sweater. Yeah. Right. I mean, and the interesting thing about this, let me get myself back out of the frame here. But if you look at this, there's one color option, right? Look at the other one up here. Okay. They've got a couple of color options. There was one on the Prada site that didn't have any color options. It was just one. And then this one here, one color option, right? For $1,000 sweater. I was thinking, holy crap, man, you got to be kidding me. But you might be thinking, well, okay, that's sweaters, that's Prada, well, let's look at coffee. Coffee. This coffee here by Roast Theory it's about $100 a pound. $100 a pound. So that for the 5 pound bag, it's $489. So if you look at this, and it gets better, so hang in there. This one is $3,000. $3,000, and they sell it by kilo. I think it makes it feel like they're dealing in some sort of drugs other than caffeine. But this coffee right here is $3,000 for a kilo, which comes out to $1,363 per pound of coffee. So you want to talk about price and elasticity, and this is their premium package. This is Black Ivory, and clearly well known for their expensive coffee, which again is fine. But the point is, do you think that they have a lot of people that they would sell that coffee to, that they would be able to sell that coffee to? My guess is yes. Now, granted, do they sell cheaper versions of this? Yes, they do. But do they have a premium offer? Yes, they do. And this is why I would encourage you to have a premium offer for whatever you're selling. Whatever it is that you have, I would encourage you to have a premium offer. So you can have your lower price tiers if you really feel like you want, but you need to have your grand slam, knock the cover off the ball, Godfather offer. Now for them, and again, there was another one in here. I wasn't going to put it on there, but it basically comes out of the butt of a wild cat. I'm sure I'll let you research it. That's a true story. And that's not as expensive as this though. Like this is $3,000 for a kilo, which again, like I said, is about $1,300 a pound. And you'll even run into this with gum, right? So this is where, and again, it's not an apples to apples comparison here. I'll be honest with that. So this is $1.79, right? For a pack of gum. And then you got gum here, which is $30, right, for a pack. Now, granted, this one's NeuroGum. It's got different things, and it's got, caffeine and L-theanine and all of these things. But my point is, though, is that people are willing to pay more because these companies have done a really good job of differentiating their offering. And that is how you develop price and elasticity. So for those of you, again, sorry, I didn't see you guys had some comments here. Oh, hello, Aiden. Good to see you. So if you're joining me, say hello. Let me know where you're coming from. So this is really important to think about if you want price and elasticity, and if you're struggling with having money, or if you're struggling in your relationship with money, it's important that you start normalizing yourself to things like this. Now, would I ever buy a $3,000 sweater? Me, no. I don't find value in that. Have I paid a ridiculous amount of money for other things in my life? Yeah, I have. I've paid a lot of money for coins. You know why? Because I like coins. I like collecting them. There's an inherent value to them. I've also spent a fair amount of money, probably more than most, on firearms. I'm a gun guy. That's what I do, right? Spent a lot of money on books, and I buy good quality books. I'm not looking to buy trash. I don't mind spending if I get a good quality, decent book for, if I can get a used book, sometimes I'll get that, but save a little bit of money. But I have a really extensive book collection. I've got a really extensive gun collection. I've got a really extensive coin collection. Those things are important to me, right? So I don't have problems spending that kind of money because that's where I put my discretionary money. For other people, there's probably things like that for you. Some of you will absolutely not spend anything less than what you buy for a Starbucks coffee. You're like, nope, I have no problem paying $8 every morning for a coffee. It's not what I would spend my money on. And the chances are there are plenty of things like that for you in your life, right? You go to the grocery store and you look at the Bare aspirin. And again, this is about price and elasticity. This is about you pricing things. This is about your relationship with money. This is about your relationship with price. This is important. If you're going to own a business and you have a problem with price, that's going to come across in your sales and your product offering when you're offering someone something and you don't believe in the price. It's just the way it is. It's just the way it works. So you got to think about that when you are putting together your product offering, because it's going to show up that way. It just is, right? So I know some of you are joining me here late. Thanks for joining. I'm going to go ahead and put the link up to the school community for those of you who are interested. I cover topics like this for free inside the school community. But if you're interested in actually taking a walk through your specific business and really unpacking that and getting into a community where people are interested in growing their businesses, and you want to be around other entrepreneurs and other business owners, you can hit the school community. I just put the link in there, and I'll also make sure the link is in the show notes as well. So this is about price and elasticity. And the interesting thing about this is when you go back and you scroll back through these and you start looking at different things about what different things cost, and whether you're buying whether you're buying an expensive gold watch or you're buying an expensive bag of coffee or whatever the thing is that is interesting to you, by educating yourself to the value of these high dollar items, you're desensitizing yourself to price. And that's an important skill. And you might think, well, how is that a skill? It's a skill because a lot of people would look at this $2,600 sweater and go, there's no way ever I could imagine anybody needing to buy a $2,600 sweater. It's not for you to decide. Somebody took the risk, put this up there. The materials probably cost 1/15 of that, if at best, right? It might be a decent sweater. It might hang different. The seams probably are triple stitched and all the different things, right? It's probably a high quality wool and cashmere, crew neck sweater. You can't wash the darn thing. You've got to hand wash it at best, probably have to get it dry clean. Total pain in the neck to own. But you know what? It's a $2,600 sweater. I'm not telling anybody that they shouldn't have it. If they want to spend their money on that, they should. And there's probably people who have a closet full of these types of sweaters. You know why? Because they have no problem spending their money on that, and they would have no problem spending that kind of money with you if you were differentiated. Do you think that Prada differentiates themselves among a certain avatar? Yes, Prada differentiates themselves among a certain avatar group, and that is how they're able to charge $2,600 or $2,650 for a sweater, right? Again, does it attract me? Am I their avatar? No. Now, this is also women's sweater, and I don't wear women's sweaters, but I don't really wear sweaters. But my point is, you can find high dollar things anywhere. Just go to a search engine, pick your favorite search engine, and type in what's an expensive pair of jeans. You can find jeans for $4,000 and $5,000. There's a market for it. And someone was brave enough to go out and say, okay, cool. This is what I want to do. I'm going to go ahead and show that there's, there's a demand for this type of thing. You like say, okay, cool, right? I'm gonna do this thing, and I'm gonna show that there's a demand for this $4,000 and $5,000 sweater, and you'd say, cool, that's what I want. I want it, and someone is going to feel super important because they have a $4,000 or $5,000 pair of jeans while wearing a $2,650 sweater with probably a $500 belt and a $1,000 pair of shoes, right? For them, that's important. For me, that's not important. For me, I would spend my money and look at different things in other ways. So this is my point around all of this is developing price and elasticity with your avatar and with the people that you most want to work with. And why is this important? Because where you price, especially when you start out, has a lot to do with where you wind up. And if you're trying to compete on price, and a lot of times what ends up happening is people will set the price. They'll say, okay, my price is $1,000 for this product or $1,000 for this widget. And then what do? Well, because volume doesn't come in, right? They're not casting enough lines in the water. They're not throwing enough nets out in the water. They're not chumming the water up with bait, right? They're not attracting enough leads. What's the first inclination? Their first inclination is to offer a discount. So now discounting in a way is sort of competing on price. So you start offering 20% off and 30% off and and Black Friday sales and these offers and that offers. This year, I didn't do any sort of offering like that. You know why? Because I don't discount my stuff. I don't need to, because I have enough demand coming in with people who want to work with me as a strategist that I don't have to discount that stuff. I don't need to. And the minute I do, all it does is erodes my brand. It erodes my value proposition. So this is the thing and I've been using this phrase differentiate over and over and over again. And I'm going to make it, I'll use the example here with me, is that the price differentiation with me, that first of all, I do differentiate myself on price, not obnoxiously so, but I do have different tiers. I have a premium offer. If someone wants to work with me at a very deep level, and if they want me physically at their location, I offer a certain price. Right now, it depends, and but that could easily be into 5 figures and sometimes into 6 figures, depending on the engagement and how busy I am at the time and how busy I want to be and so forth. So, but here's the interesting thing: is I've seen so many people who just start referring to themselves as coaches. There has been such a coaching explosion over the last 8 or 10 years, and it's not slowing down. I mean, the word coach has almost lost all meaning. So this one of the reasons why, I don't refer to myself as a coach. In fact, I'm not a coach. I use the tools of coaching from time to time, but I also use the tools of consulting. I also use the tools of strategy and strategy work. That's why I refer to myself as a strategist, because I'm legit a strategist. It's not just a differentiation word. It is certainly a differentiator, but it's also very different when someone was wanting to come and work with me, not work for me, be a client. I said that weird. They wanted me to be their strategist. They said, one of the things I really like is that you're a strategist, and that in my mind, that elevated you above everybody else that is a coach. And they may have, and he told me that. I was thinking, well, I'm glad I started calling myself that, because that's exactly what I do. Now, what's the difference between a coach and a consultant and a strategist and a guru? Well, I mean, could be eye of the beholder, but for me, what I do is I have an ability in very segmented areas. Specifically, you heard me say this before, specifically around lead generation, sales, operations, and accounting. In those 4 key areas, I have an ability to go from 10,000 feet and into the weeds on each one of those 4 core areas. That's what makes me a strategist. So if you're joining me here, just go ahead and let me know where you're from. I'd love to hear where you're from, what kind of business you got. But that's the difference that makes me a strategist, and that that allows me to have price and elasticity with my clients, and that allows me to be very profitable in this business. If I was just like every other coach, and I'm like, well, I think I maybe can charge a couple $100 a month, maybe. I mean, it was interesting. I went on Threads the other day, and there was a woman who was a coach, and she was looking for a life coach, and she had 125 different responses for people who were life coaches that were responding back to her. 125 life coaches, and that was one thread. And I'm thinking, what in the world? What's the line of demarcation for calling yourself a life coach? Is there any sort of training for this? Is there any sort of qualification for life coaches? I'm sure there is. I'm sure someone somewhere has started an organization where they requiring people to pay a membership for a certain period of time, and they get a certification. I'm knighting you a certified life coach. Okay. I can guarantee it. And I'm guarantee there's probably more than a dozen of those, but there's no convening body in terms of life coaching. I mean, it's all organizational. It's all company based. It's not organizational. There's no convening body around that I would know about. I mean, if I'm wrong, please let me know in the comments. But from what I know, now, are there coaching certifications? Yeah, there's now universities are actually offering certain coaching certifications. I'm in a PhD program for in industrial and organizational psychology, and they have a consulting component that you can go after, and they have a coaching component that you can go after. And I really struggled with determining which one of those I wanted, but I really wasn't that interested in the certification for coaching, just because I don't feel that I need it. Like, I'm not looking to work for a Fortune 500 company, which would value a coaching certification. That's not something that would be so totally interesting to me. So this is why, again, but if you're thinking about differentiating yourself, you can differentiate yourself on price for sure. And that is also going to massively be impacted by your view of price. Because if your view of price is, well, I'll give you a great example, and then we'll put the fries in the bag on this particular video. It was interesting that I needed a new keyboard for this laptop. I can't really show it, but it's got the space bar of all things stopped working. So I needed to replace the keyboard. And it was actually kind of easy once I figured out what things I needed to take out. I had to flip it over and take out 9,000 little screws and pull some different things out, but I got it all out, and it was not hard once I knew what to do. So just popped off the thing and swapped it out, blah, blah, blah. So, but what I had to figure out was I had to go buy, was this keyboard available? So I went on eBay, found it, And the pricing for the keyboard, now we're just talking about the keys, right? The keyboard itself, I was looking up and down, and the price for the keyboard was $16 US. $16. And I was like, $16? That and it's a lighted keyboard. My other one was not lighted, which was total pain in the neck, right? But this one is lighted. And I was like, oh, so I'm getting a better value, and it's only $16. So what do you think I did? I didn't buy it right away. I didn't trust the price. And I was like, huh, let me look around. Let me see if there's something else that's out there. There were others that were like $50. And I was like, well, I don't want to overpay on something just for the sake of overpaying. And I looked at, again, I'm looking at price. and now because the price was so low on the keyboard, I'm questioning its value. I'm questioning if it's really worth it or not. So I'm like, okay, well, let's figure that out. So I started looking around more and more, and I found one for $100. I found another one for 16. I found another one for 30. I found another one for 19. I found another one for 16. I was like, what the heck? Right? So what do you think I did? I bought the $16 one, with the best number of sales and reviews and so forth. So that was the thing though. And because of my view on price, I'm thinking I wanted to get the best value, but I was assigning a value just based on price alone. And there was an interesting study that had been done, and this blew me away. I'm going to get the numbers wrong a little bit, but it was a study that I had heard about years and years ago, and they had 3 different glasses of wine that people could taste test. And the wine had a glass where this one was from a $5 bottle of wine, this one was from a $45 bottle of wine, and this one was from a $90 bottle of wine. So they were taste testing them, and people were drinking the wine, and oh wow, this is really good. And then they try the $45 wine, like wow, that was really, really good. Then the $90 bottle of wine, they were like, wow, this is amazing. Right? I'm inferring the dollar figures, but you'll get the point here in a second. By a factor of like 10, people valued the $90 bottle of wine, glass of wine, as tasting better, was smoother, had a better smell. Everybody loved the more expensive glass. And the interesting thing is that the wine all came from the same bottle. It was all a $10 bottle of wine. So the interesting thing is that because it's natural for us to place a certain value on something that costs more dollars, wouldn't your ideal avatar also do the same for your product or service? So it's important that you market to yourself and make sure you don't ever do anything that's ever going to erode the confidence that your avatar will have in your product or service. You're not going to offer coupons for your premium service. You're not going to ever discount your premium service. You're never going to, not your premium service. Maybe there's other things that you use for lead magnets. Maybe there's other things that you can give away for free doesn't have anything to do with your premium offers. But that's what I'm saying. Like, do you think that right here, that Prada, let me bring this back up for a second. Do you think Prada is ever going to discount or put this cashmere sweater for $2,650? Do you think they're ever going to put that on sale? Well, no. Why would they? Why would they ever do that? Do you think that Prada has going to have any reason to put this $1,900 sweater on sale, or that the coffee company? Let me go back here for just a second. That's the $500 bag, but this one for $3,000. Do you think they have any reason at all to discount or offer a coupon for that premium offer? No, they don't have a reason to. Why would they? So if they did, it would only hurt the brand. So now here's one thing they will do. They will, because this makes sense, they will discount for volume. So is this the same price to buy to buy a kilo versus buying, say, a pound? No, because they're buying more, they're saving on shipping, they're going to get it to you, and they can discount it based on volume. That makes sense. That's logical because they're not shipping multiple shipments over multiple times. So it does save money. It does. I mean, that's makes sense. That's how Costco works, right? You buy like a pallet of toilet paper and save some money, right? So that's the thing that makes sense here in this particular case. But to discount at wholesale, to run a 20% sale for Black Friday, that makes no sense. That would only erode their brand. That would only hurt them. So there's no reason for them to do it. So I'm going to land the plane here. Thanks for those of you who stuck around and joined me. Again, if you are interested, I went ahead and put the link in the notes. And again, also up here, right there is the, this is really hard to do. Right there is the QR code for the, I guess it doesn't show on the vertical one, but if you are interested in the school community, I went ahead and put that in the links in the comments, and also make sure that that's in the description as well. So thanks for sticking around. Have a great rest of your evening, and I'll see you guys next time.